I feel like that's how Rise Against started, right? Like you just start playing in someone's yard.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were in a van and trailer just rolling around North America, playing anywhere that anybody would let us play. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like you guys should do that.
I'm into
At
it.
least
Sign
one.
me up.
Honestly, checking it's Abe Can, Tim McElrath, Rise Against, and awesome. The new song, I Want It All. It's so I love it. Like I listened to it. They sent it to me. I listened to it, I don't know, 15 times. It's like it's raw, right? I would say it's like a raw, right? It sounds different. There's something about it. Is raw the right word?
Yeah, I think raw is a perfect word. Like I think we captured a lot of it live. We were like kind of just going for like the energy of it, just not overthinking it. It's like a burst of energy of a song. We wanted it to have that kind of vibe.
Yeah, and I think live this song is just gonna like be awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to like really sinking my teeth into it on stage.
I saw you guys twice, like over the last year. I saw you guys at Aftershock, and then I saw you on the Rise of the Roach tour, and both awesome performances. One thing about Rise Against, you will not leave disappointed. Like you could walk in. I'm sure there's festivals where people don't know your music. It just happens with every band.
Absolutely, yeah.
AC/DC, someone walks in, they don't know one song,
Right,
and
yeah.
no one will walk out of that show not being a Rise Against fan every time.
I appreciate you saying that. I mean, we take the show very seriously. We know people have shown up to have a good time. They've done a lot to get there. I think that's just something that's just in our DNA since we first started playing in this band, like being respectful of the music, and then playing music that doesn't allow you to phone it in. You know what I mean? Like the music
Yeah,
it kind of gets a hold of you, and it makes you really live through it.
and it's not your songs you can't fake, right? Like
E-
it's real.
Exactly. So even if you don't like, people always say like, how do you get ready for a show, or like, how do you go from like just eating dinner to like then getting on stage at Aftershock or whatever? I'm like, it really is. You don't get ready, and you're not ready, and I don't think anybody walks on stage ready. It's like, but when you start playing those songs, that's when the transformation hits. You can't fake that. You can't fake that being on a stage. You can't replicate it or mimic it backstage 10 minutes before the show. It's like it all hits you right at that moment, like the crowd, the energy, the stage, the music, the volume, the dust, the weather, like all of it is just all hitting you at the same time.
Yeah, and the new album Ricochet, August 15th, the first song, I Want It All. Nod's already come out, which is great. I saw you live actually,
Yeah.
which came over great in front of the live crowd. Um, what so this album is your first album in like 4 years, I think. And when
Yeah.
I'm thinking back, your last album you made it came out during COVID, right?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, it was like we put it out just as like things were starting to open back up. So we finished it right around lockdown, like as things were locking down, and then put it out like a year later.
Doesn't COVID seem like it was 20 years ago and it
It
was just a couple
seems
years ago?
it seems like such a long, long time ago. That's for sure. Yeah, it was definitely what a strange experience for us and for everybody.
So what do you think about putting out one song at a time and then putting like back in the day, like in the 50s, everyone would just release singles. And there's something about giving people time to sit with each song. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I think it's something we're getting more used to because I feel like in the past it was like maybe one song, two song, that kind of thing. But like now, I feel like there's so much information out there that giving people a song at a time that allows them to digest it. When you put out the next one, it reminds them, oh yeah, there's new music coming here, like that kind of thing. So, yeah, like I think that we were talking to the Papa Roach guys about this actually because they're doing a lot of that same thing, just kind of like treating it less like an album and more like one song at a time kind of thing. And that's something that I'm starting to wrap my head around too.
And I remember when I was a kid, like a band would put out videos and it was like Aerosmith or whatever, Forget a Grip. Like they'd put out, amazing, crazy, cry and living on the edge.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like you didn't even like think about it back then. It's like you didn't even I feel like you didn't even buy the album until like after all the videos came out. And you're like, oh yeah, this is on that same album. It's like you didn't even realize it back then because it was such a
Totally.
big deal.
Yeah. And we all watched on the same things like MTV or whatever, and listened to the same radio station. There was a lot more of like a shared experience. And
Yeah.
now we're all having like sort of our own little siloed experience, whether it's music or politics or anything. You know, we all kind of have our own little carved out world. But before, we all listened to the same one big giant rock radio station in your town, and you had
Yeah.
one MTV, and you know, it was something about that that was very like communal.
Well, you and I are both from Chicago, and
Okay.
the station that I grew up with was Rock 103.5
Oh
when I
yeah.
was, and I'm sure we're like pretty much the same age. And
Yeah.
that was the station. They played everything. And it's like, it was so exciting. And like waiting in line for concert tickets was like this
Yeah.
big event, right? Like the lottery. It was like, oh man, I would, like my grandma sometimes would drop me off at like Dominic's or something to wait in line for concert tickets. And it was a party outside. It was like a fun experience that we don't get anymore.
Totally. I can picture being like at Sound Warehouse at like 9:30 in the morning on a Saturday trying to buy tickets to Nirvana at the Aragon Ballroom. You know what I
Did you,
mean?
did you go to that show?
And I went to that show. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. The two
Mhm.
bands that I never got to see were Nirvana. I've seen Alice in Chains with William. I never got
Right.
to see them. Did you see them with Lane?
I never saw them with Lane. I would have loved to though.
Nirvana only played a few songs in Chicago, and that Aragon Ballroom show is the one that you want to be at.
Yeah, they did 2 nights. I remember, and it was Mudhoney supported, and then it was actually supposed to be the Wipers maybe, but Jawbreaker ended up opening the show.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a last minute change. It didn't make a lot of flyers or anything because it was so last minute, but it was Jawbreaker on that stage.
If you want to see that show, not that particular one, but Nirvana live at the Paramount, Mudhoney opened that show. It's on YouTube. So if anyone's interested, go check that out. So let's get back to Rise Against because it's like 25 years of Rise Against. When you think about the whole 25 years, I'm thinking about like you guys opening for Anti-Flag, like just so many things that went down. When you think about Rise Against, what's the first thing that pops up? Is it what's going on right now? Is it a certain moment in time? Is it the beginning? What is it?
Oh man, like when I think about Rise Against,
Like if I just say Rise Against, what's the first thing that pops up in your head? Is it just like Ricochet, or is it what is it?
yeah, I guess the first thing that pops in my head is getting on a plane to London next week and starting our European tour. You know, that's the first
Yeah,
thing. Um, it's you know, it's something that in my head we're always going to be this baby band trying to like get people to pay attention to us, you know, and so it's still a very um, it's a much smaller thing in my head, and it's only when I go out and someone recognizes me or I mention the band to somebody. Like
yeah,
I feel like when I mention the band to somebody, there's no way they're ever gonna have heard of it. You know what I mean? And so when they
but they
do, I'm
do.
always like, oh, you've heard of it. And so I have this very probably warped or naive idea of my band. 'Cause I still think of us as like four dudes in a basement. You know?
You kind of touched on it, the isolation. Like this, I heard a little clip of Ricochet because I was watching this thing. I just heard a little part of it, but like the isolation and it, like I think the isolation has really set us back a lot. Like I think going to concerts, go to see Rise Against, being around other people, it's really essential in life because everyone being alone, doing this, like you never leave your house. Like
Yeah.
I think that's really, really hurting us.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like if I think about the way that I grew up or we grew up, like a lot of shared experiences, you know, like you had to go outside to be a part of the world. You couldn't stay inside to be a part of the world. And then even like that, another shift in my life was when this band started and we started flying at first to different states and then to Canada and then across North America and then over to Europe, you know what I mean? And then it was so humbling to realize that like your city and your state and your country and your language, like all those things are just a small piece of the puzzle, like a much bigger puzzle. And people have all kinds of different ways of existing and coexisting and living life and eating food and political systems, you know, and we're just like a small part of that. And so I hope that we can continue that trajectory of realizing what a small part of it that we are instead of like actually go in reverse and believing that we're all kind of like the main character.
Yeah, and I feel like all of us are down here. Everyone's up here wanting us to fight down here, and we're all fighting with each other. They're running everything, and we're the idiots, right? Like it's we need to come together, and everyone isn't like most people, and you've met more people than I have. Most people are nice.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I find that most people want the same things. You know, we want You know, we want our families to be safe. We want to like be able to go live like live and work and have our work be rewarded. You know, we want to be like people to be taken care of, you know, all these things. And no matter what side of the aisle you're on, I feel like those things are very much, we have those things in common.
And even if you're wearing this mask about whatever you're aligned with, peel back 2 layers and you'll find that that person is a lot more like you than you thought.
Yeah, I agree. It's like I think that it's well, a lot of us are manipulated by information and disinformation, and I feel like I hope that we're getting smarter, and able to combat that a little more to like realize how much common ground we actually all have.
And you know, one important thing people do need to know is like, don't believe anything. Like, I need 27 sources now before I won't like if unless you're telling me right now something about Rise Against, I'm not going to believe it unless it's on your official page, and then I'm going to double check that it's actually the official page.
I think you're absolutely right. I was like, it's funny because during COVID, I went back to college and got a degree that I left behind like 20 years ago. And in that, you get back into like academia and you realize that everything you're learning is like what they call peer reviewed, right? So by the time
Yeah,
it gets into like your book, like I think it's something like 7 different like expert sources had to verify it before it got through to you. You know what I mean? And I
yeah.
feel like if we could have some sort of peer review, and I think there are still some journalistic standards out there that you can find places that still do this, but we need some sort of peer review in all of our information because like we live in the information age. There's so much information out there, but information is kind of like food. Like it's not all the same. You
No,
can you can exist on junk food. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, like
it,
me, unfortunately.
I'm similar, trust me. And like, or you could look for something healthy. You know what I mean? So it's like we have to figure out the difference between the junk information and the real information.
Yeah, like the memes are pretty much like the news for 60% of the population. I'm like, it's and they I notice now there's just pages with just fake, it's just fake information. Like the pay, like how do they again, I don't believe anything. I truly believe nothing. And it's better. I think it's better actually, because it does force you to do your own journalistic work and figure out what's real.
I think it's important to think about who's telling you what and what they have to benefit from that information. You know, what they
Yeah,
have to gain by twisting that information, and then finding out if it's anything's verifiable. You know what I mean? If there's evidence
yeah,
behind any of those accusations. And some people, like I mean, our current White House will be happy to say things that have no evidence behind it, whether it's like the 2020 election or a genocide in South Africa. You know what I mean? But they know that they don't need to back it up with any real evidence because they can just kind of populate the internet with it, and it will get enough legs. It's like the Mark Twain quote: "A lie travels around the world while the truth is still putting its shoes on," or whatever.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
lies.
The retraction, the lie is on page one. The retraction's on page 30.
Yeah, there's
You
not
know,
a lot of accountability for lying, basically.
yeah, and then it's always like people are so like ready to like ready to move on to the next thing. It's like, oh, okay, well, there's a lie, but it doesn't matter because now we've moved on to something else. No one even cares.
Totally, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's up to you as a person to do your own on everything. Do your own research on everything. Figure out what's real and what isn't. And what is real is the new Rise Against album, Ricochet, August 15th. I Want It All, amazing song. You guys are doing Warp Tour,
Yeah.
which is a big part of the history of the band, right?
Yeah. Warped is a big part of our history. Absolutely. We did like maybe 3 or 4 of them. We're not everybody thrives on Warp Tour or benefits from it. I feel like we were a band that thrived in Warp Tour, and it was a big part of like our coming up in the music world. Like it really kind of, I don't know, it really like honed the blade for us.
Yeah. Did you see this thing that All American Rejects are doing? They're doing like a house party tour.
I didn't see it, no.
So they're just showing up to like people's backyards and doing a tour.
I love that. That's amazing.
They did a bowling alley in Minnesota for $5. They showed up at a graduation party. They're showing up in people's yards. Like I feel like that's how Rise Against started, right? Like you just start playing in someone's yard.
Absolutely. Yeah, we were in a van and trailer just rolling around North America, playing anywhere that anybody would let us play. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like you guys should do that.
I'm into
At
it.
least
Sign
one.
me up.
At
Let's
least one.
do it.
You guys are. Do you still live in Arlington Heights?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so uh, the Bears are moving to Arlington Heights. I don't know if you've heard about that. They're building the new stadium. I'm sure you have. So
Yeah,
they claim that part of that is a music venue. So I feel like Rise Against should be the first band to play that venue because
I like.
you, Sebastian Maniscalco, and Jimmy Garoppolo are the three most famous people from Arlington Heights and ever.
Yeah,
So
we all went to the same high school actually.
you did?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you know them? Wait, no, you're younger than Sebastian, but older than Jimmy, right?
Yeah, I went to school with Sebastian's sister, and then I'm older than Jimmy. So yeah,
So you knew his? Did you know his family at all? Like, did you guys hanging
I
out?
knew of his family. Like we weren't like
Yeah,
I remember that family for sure. Yeah,
that's hilarious. All right,
yeah.
so Ricochet, August 15th. I want it all. Check it out. Great new album. So excited. You guys are still doing more dates with Papa Roach. Papa Roach right now sound better than ever. I'm telling you, go see Papa Roach. Rise Against always blows everyone off the stage. So just for Papa Roach to bring you out, like that says a lot about them because you're a band that does blow bands off the stage. And it's just you're both bands just kicked ass on this tour.
Well, I appreciate that. And yes, I agree. Like this was one of my favorite tours I've done in a long time. We were cautiously optimistic about the lineup. I knew it was like a little bit of a curveball for a lot of people. And then from the first show on, this turned into an epic tour. When Under Oath was on stage, it was an Under Oath show. When we were on stage, it was a Rise Against show. And when Papa Roach was on stage, it was a Papa Roach show. Fans were cool. On stage was cool. Off stage was cool. Everybody was super nice. It was just good vibes. I can't wait for leg two.
Ricochet, August 15th. Last thing, what do you want to say directly to your fans?
Thanks for sticking with us. 10 albums deep, 25 years in. Um, I know we have an incredible fan base, that keeps coming to these shows here in the States, overseas. It never ceases to amaze me.
Thank you so much. This was awesome.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Have a great day.